Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Jackson. I hope this video finds you well and that you're looking forward to a relaxing 4th of July weekend with your friends and loved ones. Before we fire up the grill and before the fireworks begin, I'd like to take a few minutes to share my reflections on this week's assignment. We were asked to explore scholarly articles using JSTOR, and I focused on a topic that's been a part of my larger research: Native American boarding schools and the cultural assimilation efforts of the U.S. government. Specifically, I have been exploring the philosophies of Lieutenant Richard Henry Pratt, best known for his infamous speech, "Kill the Indian and Save the Man," and how his educational model aligned with federal assimilation goals in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. In my research, I came across something unexpected: the way Native students at the Carlisle Indian Industrial School use writing, specifically poetry, essays, and published periodicals, as subtle forms of resistance and cultural survival. The first article that I reviewed is "Casting a Spell: Acts of Cultural Continuity in Carlisle Indian Industrial Schools, The Red Man and Helper" by Jennifer Bess. Published in 2011 in the Wichazu Shah Review, this article is a qualitative study that analyzes student writings in two school newspapers, The Red Man and The Indian Helper. Bess argues that although these publications were created to promote assimilation, Native students used them to express their cultural identity, to assert agency, and to subtly embed Indigenous values into their writings. I found this incredibly powerful. These students took the very tools meant to erase their identity and turn them into instruments of cultural continuity. According to Bess, these newspapers were not just propaganda, they were now hybrid texts reflecting both institutional control and Native resilience. The second article by Christina Stanshew is titled, "That Is Why I Sent You to Carlisle: Carlisle Poetry and the Demands of Americanization, Poetics, and Politics." This piece appeared in American Indian Quarterly and focuses on poetry published in the Carlisle era. Stanshew's analysis, grounded in archival and rhetorical methods, show that student poetry wasn't just formulaic or compliant. These poems were often rich with irony, emotion, and quiet critique, addressing labor, identity, and institutional life. And even though they were written under the strict editorial control of the administration, students found ways to navigate and negotiate their voices, straddling the line between colonial expectations and self-expression. The final article is Carlisle's Writing Circle: Boarding School Texts and Decolonization of Domesticity by Amanda Zink, published in Studies in American Indian Literature in 2015. Zink focuses on female students and how they use writing assignments to push back against Euro-American ideals of domesticity. This was another qualitative case study, analyzing essays, speeches, and short fiction by Native girls. What Zink found was that these students redefined domestic roles by integrating Indigenous understandings of family, home, and labor into their work. Their writings became a space for quiet rebellion, a way to outwardly comply while inwardly preserving their cultural values. This deep dive into Carlisle student writing has been one of the most eye-opening paths my research has taken. What I initially saw as assimilation through education has now become much more nuanced. This was not blind compliance. It was strategic resistance, and I think that's genius. As an 8th grade ELA teacher, I am seriously considering bringing some of these writings to our speakers and authors unit this year. I think my students would really connect with the authenticity and the courage in these historical texts. They're not just literature, they're acts of survival. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and I hope you found this as thought-provoking as I did. Enjoy your weekend.